Okay, let's be honest. The first day of a project is the worst day on which to give an estimate. In fact, every single day that you work on a project, you'll learn more about it and you'll be able to better make an estimate of when it will be done, what it will cost, and what it will look like. Of course, you rarely have the luxury of not giving a project estimate until the very end, so what are you going to do? Well, you start by having a really frank conversation with the project sponsor, whether that's someone inside your organization or an external client. In fact, the first step in shedding the fear that often surrounds estimating is to control and confront the source of that fear at the very start of the project. The conversation goes something like this. You're going to tell me about the project, and I'm going to give you a very wide range of possible outcomes. As we kick off the project, we'll narrow that range. And after we release a first iteration, we'll narrow that range some more. Or maybe not, depending on what we learn. Of course, it's awfully helpful for the project sponsor to let the team know what's desirable and what's possible in terms of budget, timeline, and outcomes. Right? There's no sense in scoping out a grandiose $250,000 project when the budget will only bear $25,000. When you estimate a project, you'll need to make sure that you have both a top-down estimate and a bottom-up estimate. And ideally, those two meet in the same place. Here's how that works. Once you've gotten a few prospects and projects under your belt, you'll have a sense for about how long the next one will take. You'll use this experience to make a quick, high-level estimate of each new project you encounter, adjusting for familiarity with the topic, the audience, the project sponsor, the technology, and the like. This experience-based estimate, along with the project sponsor's budget in mind, gives you that top-down estimate. You'll then break the project down into smaller pieces, even down to the task level, as you build up the project plan from the bottom up. You check this against the top-down estimate. When the two don't meet, you then have a conversation about scope or budget, time or expectations with the project sponsor. The secret to good estimates is to estimate in small increments. The more you can break a big project down into small increments, the more accurate your estimate will be. Here's how you can teach this to your team. Fill a 2-ounce shot glass with jelly beans and ask the group to estimate how many jelly beans are in the glass. After you get a few responses, then calculate the average and the range between the highest and the lowest responses. You'll usually find that the average is off by quite a bit, and the range of answers is pretty wide. Then bring out a tall glass tumbler and do the same exercise, and then a big glass water pitcher. As you can imagine, the average is going to be farther off and the range is going to be wider as the container gets larger. What does this have to do with project management? It's easier to estimate in small batches. You're more likely to know if your estimate is way off if you're counting a small glass full of candies as opposed to a gigantic pitcher. You can get more practice and more feedback when you're estimating smaller pieces, and you'll get better at it over time.